can't take the gold from me. Stick your thumb in my ass. Cleats are fucking hard to pass. But I don't need your sympathy, 'cause you can't keep the gold from me. Slit your throat, feed the hogs, buck-toothed beaver slapping logs. You can't keep the gold from me.
Introduction stuff? Oh, okay. Hello. Welcome to a Deadwood video podcast. My name is Ben. This is Jordan. And this is Chad. Deadwood is a strange and special show. And
anyways, so what you guys seen this show before?
Yes, yeah, it's great. It's one of my favorite shows ever.
Yeah, I've never seen this. So this is the very first time of me seeing this.
but what did you think of that first episode?
It's amazing. I mean, like, you quickly start to realize there's like 3 main players, and then everybody else are just like fucking kids, and they don't know what's going on. It's like the bar owner, what's his name?
Al Swearingen.
Al Swearingen, perfect name. Wild Bill, and then whoever the fuck Timothy Oliphant's character is.
Seth Bullock. Yeah.
Seth Bullock. Those are the 3, and then everybody else is just like doesn't know what's going on at any point in time. I mean, there's so many individual performances, we could sit here and talk about all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we should have.
Absolutely.
Well, did the world seem too rough and tumble to be real, or did it seem too violent, or what did you think of this version of the Wild West? Like,
I mean, it seems like what I would think would be accurate, but I don't know what that means because I don't know anything about anything.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, it seems what I would think the Wild West would have been like, which is just a bunch of fucking children running around with guns and getting into mishaps and mayhem. And they're all controlled by the person who owns the saloon, which makes perfect sense.
Right, yeah.
Control the alcohol and the touches,
Yeah, yeah.
and you control everybody.
Yeah. So, you gotta have control of the touches.
it seems really dirty and violent. Like, what
Yes,
struck
it
me
is.
was like the bruise makeup on Trixie's face when she's
God.
bruised. It looks,
Yeah.
you just
Horrifying.
feel physically horrified at her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those where it makes you think, everyone wants to romanticize the Wild West, and then, there's always that one guy who's like, yeah, but what about indoor plumbing? And this is like a show representation of why you wouldn't want to go back in time. And
But also,
live
like,
there.
not stupid things like, what about indoor plumbing? But, like,
It's like-
what about it's a fucking nightmare?
Right, yeah.
It's like, what would you want?
You
to-
stomp your toe and you have to amputate your foot.
Yeah,
and,
and the doctor's doesn't really know what the fuck's going on.
it's all, he's learning on the job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's figuring out how to be a doctor while he's
Right.
a doctor.
Well, Doc Cochran is really just dealing with his horrible time in the Civil War and his alcoholism.
Okay.
But he's not fully formed at this point. He's a little bit more evil than he is here than the rest of the series. Like, he's sneering at like a dead body being
Yeah,
pig,
yeah,
which he would never do.
There's with every show, there's like growing pains for characters where they're trying to figure it out, and I feel like later show Doc Cochran probably wouldn't go, "Woo's pigs," like
Smash cut.
Yeah, yeah. It was more. I guess that's more of a. This is like a world building line or something like
There was
that.
something going on with pigs in that episode. What was it? I mean, like, it's like it took on this larger meaning. I mean, like I said, there was even at one point someone like mentions pigs, and then it cuts to
The feet. Oh, that was the
Wild
cut.
Bill,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
with
Yeah.
Wild Bill and his feet come into frame, and for a second I was like, "Are those pig hooves?" And then it's like, "No, those are just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
back of his boots." And
think-
it's like, what? And then the good person
Yeah.
gets eaten by the pig later. It's like, is this a larger thing?
I
that
may
keeps
be
going?
way off base, but I feel like that was probably just something that happened in the edit. they probably didn't intentionally shoot Wild Bill, like, oh man, this will be the moment with the pig thing.
Maybe, I don't know.
They could,
I don't know. I get the sense that the show is a little more fluid in that sense that it's like I don't know. Well, watching it seems like it's just kind of a day in the life usually as far as pacing.
Right.
It's not paced like a typical show where there's a clear like arc for each episode that ends on a cliffhanger. It's just
It's not like
man,
this,
it would
like
suck
this
to be
episode ends on a cliffhanger. It ends on a like. If I had never seen another episode, I'd be like, that makes sense.
So that's Deadwood.
Well, it's a hard show to get into because it's a little bit, the language is impenetrable. There's a scheme that's going on with Tim Driscoll in this episode, which is just like, it's hard to follow purposely. It's really like 20,000 to 14,000, and it does make sense, but like the language is so quick, and so he has an over-the-top Irish accent, and you're just like, what's going on exactly? And but one thing I always want to point out is, like 2/3 of the characters are non-fictional, and like what stuck out to me in watching this time was the large amount of incidents that were real. Like the opening scene is taken from Seth Bullock's biography. The soap with a prize inside guy is a real guy that was on the streets of Deadwood selling soap and saying, "Oh look, there's $5 in one of these soaps," and there was never any money inside the soaps. He paid someone to pretend to find money, and then they just took money from everyone who bought the soaps.
Right.
And, the Metz family, the head of the Metz family, Charlie Metz, died really on the road and were killed probably by Persimmon Bill, not Phil. And what was the other?
His name was Charlie?
No, his name was really Charlie Metz, the head of the. He's not mentioned in the series, but he's mentioned in the history.
But
And
that
then,
was the dad.
that was the dad of the Metz family.
Sorry, Charlie.
And they were all massacred by a guy whose job, what he liked to do is kill people and make it look like Indians killed them. And he did
That's
that.
what Swearingen was talking about.
Yeah. Persimmon Bill. Or Persimmon Phil.
So he called it like early on, like it's just that guy's fucking MO. He's a piece
Well,
of
there's
shit.
a reason he called it.
Oh, okay.
He
well,
has-
I don't know yet. Then
He has a. Yeah, you don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
And also, the bounty for $50 on every decapitated Indian head was not set by Al Swearingen, but by the town of Deadwood. So that and also, I think a really important thing to come across with the show is that the show doesn't really foreground enough. Is just before, he mentions it, but just before this show happened, General Custer was killed at Little Bighorn, and the reason that Little Bighorn happened, which was a massacre of like United States soldiers by a Sioux Indian tribe, was because we went back on our treaty with the Indians.
Right.
There was a reservation, and Custer led a mission of soldiers for the express purpose of prospecting for golds on an Indian reservation, which we had stopped the previous war by having a treaty where that was their land. And we walked in there, and he found some gold, and it started a gold rush, which created the town of Deadwood and all the surrounding towns. So basically, everyone in the series is a tremendous asshole who's causing a war by coming to this place.
Yeah.
And it's
This is something they get into later, I'm assuming.
it's the background.
It's like subtext. Like you understanding that, get a better picture of this
What's going on?
world. Yeah, it's like these people are here without permission. Like they're not supposed to be here, but it manifests destiny.
Right.
You
get a little bit of that in that episode.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's not like they don't really like dwell on it or anything.
Right, yeah.
But I guess why would they?
Right.
The characters wouldn't. In
Right,
real life.
and everyone is so consumed with their own survival and
Exactly.
self-interest
Exactly.
that they don't think about or care.
Yeah, I mean, just like he's what was it? The child pornographer guy. What's his name?
Jeffrey Jones.
Jeffrey Jones. He's gotta bring it up. He is sitting there going on and on about the U.S. government or whatever. Like we're gonna be brought back into
the bosom.
to the bosom of the government, and everybody just stares at him for a second and just turns away.
Right.
Nobody cares. It's like nobody cares. In
He's
this
he's
town.
geeking out.
Yeah. Yeah, and he runs the local newspaper.
He's the
right?
newspaper man. Yeah.
Yeah, he just prints it himself, and then
Right.
he's the newspaper.
But if you want to know what's going on in the camp or who's coming and who's going, that's
Yeah.
where you turn.
yeah, because he's a nosy piece of garbage.
Well, he's the nerd.
And an important part of the sort of, I like Deadwood because it's like a, sort of like a, what do you call it, like a petri dish of a community kind of thing.
Yeah.
And everything sort of, I don't know, we can get more into that later, but yeah, the whole camp being a sort of example of how societies can form even when you're trying not to form them just
Right.
by accident. you
Right,
know?
just because everybody shows
Everyone,
up.
like people just fall into
Yeah.
categories of responsibility and,
Right.
and things like that.
Yeah.
And Merrick is the newspaper.
Right.
He's the media.
Yeah. Just because he's literate.
Yeah. Oh, and there's
Yes.
one doctor. And
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like,
That's what he does.
Well,
And I
Merrick-
guess it seems like Swearingen or something brought him in.
Well, you got to have a doc on hand if you got a prostitution going on.
Yeah, because he almost seems like he's been contracted directly by this bar owner, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he would have been there otherwise. This is based on one episode, but
What's your level of sympathy for these? Like you mentioned, Merrick is kind of an asshole, but like he's the press reporter, Jeffrey James.
Okay.
He. Do you have any sympathy for him because he's not violent? Like of all those people, he seems the less violent. He's the most. Presuming we are not violent men.
He's the least violent, but he's also the most spineless.
And that's an interesting thing too. You know, there are certain people who pay dearly for being that way in this camp, and certain people are allowed to survive and prosper.
Like the doc. The doc
right. He's got leverage.
Yeah.
You don't.
Does he?
Well, I'm just saying, if you're the only doctor in the camp.
Oh, that's true.
You know, like people aren't gonna be looking to blow your head off because they might need you tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know.
But I like that Merrick. He's a reporter of Manifest Destiny. He believes that they should basically take this land away from Indians and cause a war in order to get gold.
Mm-hmm.
But he isn't personally violent. He doesn't want to literally kill anyone.
I guess so.
And for most of the other characters,
instead he's promoting mass genocide.
Well, just as a byproduct of his cool newspaper operation, which he's really excited about. But all the other characters are very comfortable with killing someone on little pretext.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And how much sympathy did you feel for Al Swearingen? He's the owner of the bar. Did you say, here's a nice guy?
No, I mean, immediately they set up the fact that he's an asshole, which of course I appreciate. I mean, those are the fun characters to watch. Yeah. But no, I have no sympathy for him, and I have a feeling at some point he's going to get a bullet in the head or something. I don't know, but.
And you mentioned also Bullock and Hickok. What did you think of them in terms of anti-hero, hero? Do you think they were more good than bad, or vice versa?
Well, it seems like Bullock is Oliphant, right? Bullock. He seems like he's got some anger issues, but beyond that, seems to be like a good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he only comes at that one dude because he knows pretty much for a fact that he murdered that whole family.
Yeah.
It was and he seems to believe in justice. Obviously,
he's a former marshal.
Yeah,
he just gave that up.
The opening scene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Wild Bill, you don't really know that much about him. I don't know, based on this first episode. I mean, other than, I guess, what you would know about Wild Bill, just aside from the show.
Well, he's traveling with Calamity Jane, too, so, I mean...
Which I didn't...
His whole thing, after the Civil War,
Going into this, I thought they were two... I didn't know that they ran together.
There was a Wild West show that they would travel around and do, where, roping and doing gun tricks and stuff like that. Uh-huh. So it was like a sort of a show business version of the stories about them from sort of the Civil War.
Capitalizing on
their celebrity.
Fame.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And some people are better adjusted to that sort of farce than others.
Yeah.
So
and it seems
kind of see there's
Bill is not
self-destructive tendencies that he
seems
has.
to be drinking himself into a stupor and gambling poorly.
He's got Charlie Utter chasing him around trying to keep him straight.
Seemingly. I mean,
as far as he says.
Yeah. He seems like a little bit of a dirtbag, or he could be.
Charlie.
It's possible. And I mean, I have a lot of sympathy for Calamity Jane.
Yeah.
Why?
But it's because she's in this horribly violent world, and she has to lash out as a woman to establish herself in that place. And in doing so, you can tell the other characters in the show don't fuck with her because they're like, she's insane. It's
what was it, that sewer mouth that rides with the...
Yeah, people have been saying cocksucker and motherfucker the entire time.
But she's a lady.
Yeah, there was that one moment that we talked about during the thing where it was they get the little girl and they're bringing her back, and then Calamity Jane meets them, and then as soon as they meet, Timothy Oliphant looks over at her and then looks at Wild Bill, and he's like, and then he just hands her over to her, and it's like, I guess in the Wild West that makes sense, but now you would just be like, what just happened there?
They mind melded, and he said, Jane will take her. Jane's good with kids.
For some reason.
Right.
Even though she seems to be kind of a maniac, but...
Wild Bill was supposed to be historically good with kids. I hear. You would more times than not find him in the floor playing with kids.
Yeah.
Instead of doing whatever it is that adults do.
Right.
So that's it.
And also he was like, I have read about Wild Bill before, and a lot of his shootings were like kind of like in moral gray areas.
Oh, yeah.
Like he got, he's
Shoot first.
Yeah, he would just shoot people in cold blood from like hiding in the curtains and just be like, all right, it's done. And he shot his friend to death by accident, like not long before this. And the director of this pilot, Walter Hill, directed a movie called Wild Bill, starring Jeff Bridges as Wild Bill. And Keith Carradine was in it, and he played Wild Bill Cody, who's a different dude. Or Buffalo Bill Cody.
Yeah, Buffalo Bill.
Well, I mean, okay, so you said there's like all these horrible people that kill everybody. Okay, who killed somebody in that first episode?
Oh, well, I mean, for example, I guess, Dan killed.
But I mean, Dan seems like a piece of shit. So
he felt really bad about that.
Yeah, he liked him.
He liked him,
Yeah.
but he's
did he?
in his way. but his loyalty first and foremost is to Al.
Right.
And Al gave him orders, and he's a loyal.
He did it.
Dan is what you call a road agent,
Yep.
and that's what they do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, I don't have any sympathy for him, but
Yeah.
not really.
What about Johnny?
Johnny?
Well, you might not know him yet. He's the kind of young dude.
He's a young guy who got punched for not stopping the guy from talking to people in the bar.
On the way up when he was bringing.
Oh,
him in.
right, the guy who was like a ball of dope.
And then
or whatever.
and then he was like, Dan, as he was leaving, was like, don't take it personal, Johnny. Al's just got a lot on his mind.
Yeah.
and then he goes back over to Al later, and he's like, I just want you to know, I know you got a lot on your mind. It's just like, I don't know if he was like fishing for an apology or just, but you kind of, he's very naive.
Yeah.
But he wants to be, I don't know.
He wants to be on the inside.
Right, but he's just kind of dumb. He's like a puppy.
He's dopey.
Yeah.
He seems dopey.
Mm-hmm.
Who else killed somebody? I mean, besides Wild Bill. And
Trixie shot the guy in the head
For
who kept
beating on
talking.
Yeah, he seems like a piece of garbage. I mean,
Right, yeah.
Anybody who's getting them touches in.
Yeah.
Again, based on a real life anecdote.
Yeah.
So I mean, he seemed very sympathetic in how he died, touching his bullet wound to his frontal lobe.
I mean, sure, that's
Well, yeah.
sympathetic, but also he beat the shit out of
Yes,
her.
yes.
Right,
So,
because he
like,
thought she was stealing from him.
Yeah, but it's like, what are you doing? It's like, you don't just start wailing on some lady. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah.
I mean, she could have died easily. I mean, just based on the way the makeup and stuff looked. It
Yeah,
looks like,
yeah.
I mean, it looked like she was like almost beaten to an inch of her life.
Okay, so you're saying that violence is okay when there's a bad person involved.
I'm saying that she needed to defend herself against this psycho who was going to inadvertently kill her.
Yes, of course.
That's
Yes.
fine.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
So, but you're going forward in the series, like when violence occurs, if it's against bad men, that's better, right?
Like the guy who came back into town and wanted to get drunk and stuff after being involved in the massacre, supposedly.
Yeah. I mean,
He got shot down off his horse.
it seemed like he was fucking full of shit and had something to do with it. So,
Yeah.
fuck him.
No law at all in Deadwood.
Oh yeah, and the guy who got his hung
But
early.
like, what's the difference between them shooting him right then and them having a show trial and then just hanging him like a week later?
Is that there is no, I guess, formal government or process for that.
Because it wasn't going to happen.
It's a
either
mining
way.
camp.
It wasn't going to happen
Yeah.
either way. That motherfucker was going to die.
He was either going to escape or
or get shot or get
get
hung.
shot, right.
It's like this.
What about the man in the opening scene who is hung on the footsteps of his jail cell?
Right.
for supposedly stealing the horse.
Ryan Sampson's horse. I mean, how do you feel about that scene?
Somebody stealing a horse should not be hung, but that is also weird, old westy times
Right.
of justice where it's like, well,
We only
killed-
got 3 sales.
we only got 3 sales.
Well,
Kill
also,
that
I mean, stealing a horse is one thing. He did also shoot Bullock in the shoulder.
Well, that's true too.
But yeah.
But I still don't know.
But
how
I don't
much.
think Bullock. I mean, he didn't seem to think that was part of it. Like
No, he
he was
didn't.
like, well,
It's
I've
a
had
flesh
worse.
wound.
Yeah,
It's not a big deal.
yeah.
It doesn't look like it wants to infect.
Doesn't look like it wants to infect.
But I mean, what Wild Bill says something in that episode where he's basically like, what does he say? Like you learned when he's like talking about where were you?
Used to be a marshal, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you finally wised up or something like that, or whatever the fuck he says,
Yes,
and it's
sir,
like,
did.
because that's what it always ends up being for him. Is like I gotta kill somebody for fucking cattle rustling or whatever, and it's like, what's the point in that?
Yeah,
I don't understand. That guy didn't have to hang really.
Right.
He was a shifty dickhead, but he wasn't like a murderer.
Right, yeah. And yeah, he probably would have stolen again.
But that other motherfucker that rode into town and made up all that shit about Indians and stuff, hacked up a whole goddamn family.
Yeah.
And is like, I don't know. It seems pretty painfully odd. Like, if all three of the major players in this show are all like, that motherfucker did it, then it's like, I don't know. You have to take you have to take the show at its word that this is what happened.
Until new information.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
If new information comes
Yeah.
out.
And then if more information comes out, then
Yeah.
I'll rescind my fuck him.
Yeah.
But for right now, fuck that guy.
Right. yeah.
We should talk about the language. We were talking about the language
Yes.
before we started. Like, they said that they researched the language and they said that if they tried to have period accurate cuss words, everyone would sound like Yosemite Sam. So what they did instead was
Really?
there's like a liberal quoting of actual text from the period. Like sometimes people were quoting things that were actually said, and they just add in fucks and cocksuckers and everything in there, and it's very and it works really well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's.
What would it have sounded like?
Oh, I don't know. Rootin' tootin'.
Apparent-
Concern. Yeah, I don't know.
Apparently, a lot of it was religious based.
Okay.
So like if you took God's name in vain, that was a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So if you were like, God damn it,
Yeah.
it's a big fucking deal. Put your hat back on, sir.
Put your hand back on.
That was the thing. I did like when he said that to that guy.
Yeah.
I can't remember that actor. He's been in a ton of things.
He has. He was
but,
in Overboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that was like an established thing. Is like, put your hat back on. We ain't going to fight.
Yeah.
God, it's like dumbasses taking their shirt off.
Right,
They're getting
yeah.
ready to fight now. It's like, oh fuck.
Well,
They're about to brawl.
One of the things I saw sort of a thing with Milch talking about the way people talked back then. And they said basically the reason it's so flowery, all the speech in it is that if you were an educated person and literate, you got your education from Victorian novels. And so everyone would, if you were to come across smart, you had to talk like they talk in those books. And that's why you have,
So it's that kind of like English.
yeah,
influence
this
still.
this sort of really, it's this really pretty turn of phrase with like cocksucker dropped in it.
Yeah. It's like this aristocracy.
There will be more of that. I can't think of an example from this episode off the top of my head.
And it creates weird things where characters are supposed to show that they don't know some vocabulary. Like, for example, they made a joke of the fact that Wild Bill didn't know what bosom meant.
Right, yeah.
And like all these characters are speaking like quasi Shakespeare shit.
Yeah,
like they probably know what bosom means.
Yeah.
They've gone to a church. I bet bosom is.
Yeah.
And they,
I think he was just making a joke.
he was making a joke.
Yeah. Diffusing a awkward pause in the room.
Yeah, because like you said earlier, it was just like
completely fizzled.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Who else?
Okay.
What other storylines?
The Garretts. These
Who?
New York, I guess.
Oh.
The
New
rich
York-
guy with the mustache.
Okay.
Yeah,
Molly
the
Parker.
prissy city folk who are in town.
Yeah.
Brom and Alma Garrett.
What did you think of them?
He's a moron, and she is just like, okay.
Did you notice what she was doing?
She was putting something into her drink, and he said something about headaches no more or whatever. So she's doping herself up on something.
Yeah.
Whatever people,
Laudanum or opiates.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have headaches.
She's mixing it with water.
She's just constantly drugged up all the time.
Yeah.
But
to cope with his ass.
To cope with his dumb ass.
What's really effective is how they're in like this rarefied world above everybody, and like
Right.
they're moving at a slower fucking pace, and it's just like their money absolves them of the chance of getting killed.
Yeah.
They're like just sitting there, and they're just like excited to lose $20,000.
Right. Yeah. That is kind of funny.
I'm sure they'll contact father.
That was a really long shot, and it was really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like that. You're right. The pace of the show just like screeches to a halt as soon as you walk into that room.
Because
With them.
they're so clueless.
Yeah, and everybody else is like life or death every
Yeah,
scene.
yeah.
But
It's-
then they're just like
Yeah,
floating
everyone else
through
is
life.
in survival mode, and they're just here on holiday or almost.
waiting to get fucked over by people who are smarter than them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sol Star.
There's about 50,000 characters.
This is
so-
partner in crime, Bullock's partner in the
The man,
Oh, right. The one
the
who actually
hardware
wants to be a
business.
businessman while
Bullock.
Bullock, for all intents
It's
and
not
purposes,
his
does not-
chosen vocation.
No, it doesn't seem like that's what he wants to do. It seems like that's what he's gotten talking into by Saul to be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
let's go legit and let's make some money. And he's like, I can just imagine
He's
this
just-
being
yeah.
like, we're going to sell bedpans and shit. Like,
Right.
no, I don't really care about that.
Right. You get the sense that the showmanship required in being a salesperson is not.
available,
Yeah.
$15. It's like this huge crowd of
We
people
got
that are
hip
moving
boots
by.
for you. Yeah. He's like clear. It's almost like he's talking, hoping no one hears him.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
going through the motions. It's like mouthing "Happy Birthday"
Yeah.
to people, like in a party.
Right. So wait, did the doctor? He was doing experiments on the brain or something. because
Sure. Just out of curiosity.
Just out of curiosity.
The guy
that
lasted
guy.
20
and then
minutes.
20 minutes.
And then they just threw his ass into
Into
the
the pig.
Once he was
pig
done,
pit.
they took him to
He was curious how he stayed alive for 20 minutes being shot through the frontal lobe.
Right.
which at the time, yeah, that was what he was saying. It's
Right.
like that's supposed to be where everything is.
Yeah.
How is he?
Exactly.
And he shoves a rod very beautifully through, entirely all the way through, which
Yeah.
is just insane.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's a
I
digital.
guess, or it must be I think maybe a fake head.
It was a
Yeah.
fake head. I
Yeah.
mean, you could tell the eyes and stuff were
Yeah.
not quite there.
Convincing for.
I mean, it's very
what,
convincing.
What
Very
year
good.
was this? This was.
I mean, it's very convincing. It's just
Yeah.
now that I'm doing stuff like that, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm looking
that's
for
exactly,
it.
yeah.
It's like
His skin is a little too glistening.
right, exactly, yeah. It's not
And-
quite right.
As you said, it's a beautiful shot where it shows them all waiting around for him to die.
Waiting
And
for
he
him
comes
to
back.
die.
Yeah, as they dollies back and just shows everybody, it looks like a painting.
Al's looking away.
Yeah,
yeah.
It looks like a weird like painting from that time period or something, and then it just cuts and the action keeps going. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that was fucking bizarre.
The real life anecdote was a guy was walking down the street in Deadwood. He heard a shot ring out. He ran inside a building, and there was a man who had been shot in the head but was talking, and a woman named Trixie who had shot him, and which we presume this would be in real life the Jim. And this is a person claiming it years later, so it has various degrees of might be true.
Yeah.
But then he claims like a week later he saw that man walking down the street alive, which is quite different from what we got.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Because that part of it's stupid.
Yeah. Oh, what do you think of the poker game with the dickhead who was needling Wild Bill about like?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that dude.
Right. Yeah.
It's like what an
I'm just
asshole.
gonna say this once. I'm not impressed. It's like he's just trying to be a big man.
And then Wild Bill fucking put him in his place by just sitting there staring at him and just saying,
Yeah, drew me.
Yeah.
Meaning the other way.
"What do you mean?
Yeah.
Say it." You know what I mean? Say what you mean.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, damn.
And then we can play cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the rape.
Deal. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's a good actor.
Garrett Dillahunt. It seems like the whole town, a lot of the killings, or I guess some of the killings happen around money, right? Like the whole town is focused on getting money. And then
I think all of them are right,
maybe
except for the guy who killed the family.
no, they rob the family.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I'm saying when they killed him.
Oh, you're right.
Right.
That part's not for money.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think everything else, all the other ones were.
Yeah. So I mean, like you've got a very like that's like arguably like the not morality but just money is the most important thing going on in this camp.
Yeah. And there is going to be a sense of
Tax free.
law and justice brought into town by a fucking shoe salesman and a washed up fucking dude, whatever you want to call it, gunslinger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that's what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Find out next time.
Like I said, it could have just ended there with Swearingen just
sitting there just. He deadpanned a lot in this episode.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking back.
yeah.
Yeah, he
Like
only.
the whole,
But that's like super deadpan.
yeah.
That was like 2 solid minutes of him just sitting there staring straight ahead.
Yeah.
Just
It's one of my favorite things about it is is that a bubble? Anyway, it was when what's his name? Tim Driscoll was like, well, if you had other plans, I wish you'd have just told me. Should I tell you when I plan to take a shit next, or would that be none of your fucking business? That's one of my favorite lines.
He doesn't give he doesn't give anything to his girlfriend, to his underlings, to anyone he kills for someone talking back to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he seems really unappealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a shitbird.
Mm-hmm. He's a survivor.
Yeah, he's that.
Yeah.
He's doing a little more than surviving.
Yeah.
He's staying on top.
Yeah. It's
There's a whole different skill set.
gangs of the old west. It's not really a gang. I don't know what
Kind of
that is.
is in,
I
a,
guess
in
so.
a weird way.
Like organized crime.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause-
within this camp,
right. I mean, because he controls everything.
he's
basically.
sort of top dog.
Right. I mean, he controls the stupid hotel owner who doesn't.
Farnham.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who doesn't fucking. I don't know if he has something wrong with him or what, but he's not quite all there.
Right.
So he's easily manipulated.
Yeah.
And Dan, who's like his right hand man, who's just go out and fucking murder people, I guess. And then he just seems to have like an infinite supply of underlings that come and give him information or whatever else.
For heroin.
Yeah, for
right.
heroin.
Yeah. For a ball of dope.
For a ball of dope. Yeah, that blew me away. It was like, what was it, like $20 or a ball of dope or something?
can't
It was like
remember.
$5
Yeah,
a ball of
yeah.
dope. I don't even know. But it's like, ball of dope. What a weird phrase.
Tell Dan to get you a ball of dope, and then tell him come see me.
God, the way he fucking talked that dude down from getting $6,000 to getting $20 cash and being just thankful.
Yeah.
He also got a free poke from Wanda.
Oh, I forgot. He
Free
did.
poke,
He did get a free poke.
15 cents, 2 touches.
I wonder what these touches are.
I don't know. Like, what constitutes a touch? Is it just like
Any physical contact?
2?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Does there have to be more to it?
Right. What is
I mean,
a
15
touch?
cents is kind of a lot.
It's like
of
the
money,
difference
right?
between, it's like, can I have a sip of your drink? And
Right.
then you just like
down the
it,
whole thing.
You know.
And it's like, that's my sip.
Right. What's a touch? I guess that Derringer decides.
But
That's 3.
Isn't 15 cents a lot of money in this time?
I don't know.
Don't know. That's
I think
tough
it
because
is something. I think it's probably more around I'm gonna guess $5 thereabouts. I
yeah.
don't
Well,
know.
that's what obviously there's been inflation since then.
Mm-hmm.
But also I heard something or saw something that in one of these mining camps like Deadwood where there's gold coming from the hills down into town and being traded and stuff, that inflation was crazy.
Yeah.
So things cost a lot more than they would in a regular town.
Because they know everybody has money because they all
Right.
fucking have gold.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a conversation about whether they could charge more for their hardware supplies because they delivered at risk of personal injury.
Right. Yeah.
So they hiked the prices up when they got there.
Economics
Look at us.
in the Old West.
We should do a class. Yes, we are.
I mean, not to teach one, but it would be cool to go to a class about that.
Well, we're teaching one right now.
Yeah, but I'm not qualified to do that.
You've done your own research.
Oh, but just like to satisfy my own curiosity, like in the morning over coffee, not anything scholarly.
Yeah, instead of the morning paper now, there's the morning,
Yeah.
Wikipedia
Wikipedia
or
search.
Reddit
Right.
scrolling.
Actual photographs of the people from Deadwood. Here. Top 10 crazy things that are real from Deadwood. Yeah. All.
Did you see this show when it came out?
No, it was, I can't remember what year, how old is this show?
2004.
2004. On
15 years ago from the day that we've taped this.
Yeah. So I had Netflix and had the DVDs come, and just like, which it's like, 4 or 5 discs for like a season, and so you'd watch a couple episodes, and then it's like, oh, I gotta wait for the next one to come in the mail. And so that was rough. I watched the first 2 seasons that way.
It's pretty rough. It's rough
It
times.
was rough. But then I went out and bought the 3rd season to finish it out because I was tired of waiting for it to come in the mail.
Yeah. Ben?
What about
When
I
did
first
you
saw
see it?
About 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I fell in love with it. It became my girlfriend, and I watched it over and over and over. And yeah, it's great, great show. Yeah.
It's up there with like Breaking Bad as being like something transcendent in television.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Deadwood or Breaking Bad?
Either.
Really? The sequel to this.
You should really.
We
that would be a
should
fun-
have a Breaking Bad one too.
God damn it!
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Seriously.
Like that's just cliffhanger
up.
after cliffhanger after cliffhanger. It's
Yeah.
like it is. Once you get past the first season, it's like you're addicted to it. You would love it.
We're really fucked up. I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah.
Okay, it's gonna happen now. Well, anything else? First episode?
First episode.
It's
First episode.
done? In the can?
Yeah.
In the can.
In the can.
Yeah.
Fuck it.